yes. Let's keep going. I thought you just let people in. I just quit talking.
Okay.
But we can't see them. I just remember.
Good morning, everybody. Or at least good morning.
Good morning, someone.
Here. Welcome, welcome.
Good morning, Janine.
Great. Some familiar names and maybe a name or two I'm not so familiar with. So welcome. Yes, let us know where you're coming from. Hi, everybody. It's so good to be with you today. We're wrapping up our fifth in this series of our Power of Collaboration model. And we're excited to have a guest visitor today, an expert, a guest star. She will hate that I said that. If you know the Enneagram, she's a 9 and will hate that I said it. And I'm an 8, so I did it anyway. So Carol, do you want to introduce yourself to everybody as they're coming in?
Hey, good morning, everybody. Carol Zizzo. I am Henley Leadership's owner and CEO. And I always hesitate quite to say that because we have such a collaborative culture and there's many of us that make this thing successful. So I'm excited to be here, especially for one of my favorite topics, appreciation, and to be here in place of Shannon, who's off appreciating some very much needed time away.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. All right. So today we're going to do some voicing what's good, which sounds like a great thing to do on a Friday on August 1st. So let's move into that. Sam? Great. So just a couple background of what this whole webinar series is for. And just the world is very complex and increasingly so. And we want 45 minutes of sanity and in a world of complexity, a simple tool each month that we can get grounded in. We can connect with each other, a little bit of inspiration to take back into our work and our lives. Ways you can participate. You're already doing a fantastic job in the chat, everybody. Keep doing that. Reflect on your own and with your team. Sam sends out great follow-up resources and recordings every month, so definitely look through those. Maybe a little learning cohort to those of us who are external processors, really like to have a chat about what we're learning. And then just keep coming back. And between sessions, we always recommend that you take one action to practice and solidify what you're taking away. And then we always encourage you to share your learning with others. So as we said today, we're going to voice what's good. We're going to practice appreciation. And this is the fifth element of our Power of Collaboration model. So we've talked about creating a compelling why for yourself and for your team. We've talked about building trust. We've talked about how to be inclusive and create belonging in your workplace. We talked about productive breakdowns, what happens. Last month, we talked a little bit about kind of double loop learning and what's underneath. And so today we're going to voice what's good, which is an essential part of collaborating. And so appreciate work isn't it just fluff, it's fuel. We know that. We know it matters. So we're going to talk about expressing appreciation in a way that really lands. And I'm seeing in the chat, first of all, everyone's from, look at all these people from everywhere. It's great. And then, Kara, I'm sure that Sam will get you on that list. All right. Let's do this.
I love that. It's not fluff, it's fuel.
Yeah.
That's so true. That's what I was thinking about. It's just how much energy it provides. So.
Yeah. Well, we even did some appreciation this morning and prep for this. Carol and Sam and I did in like talking about our own favorites and how do we see each other. And that even made my morning a little bit. So even just a brief conversation about appreciation kind of fueled me this morning. So I think that's sweet. So let's get started with, think of a time you felt appreciated at work and what was the impact on you? So what was the impact of a time you felt really appreciated at work? And share that in the chat. Carol, you have any examples of when you felt, what was the impact of being appreciated at work?
I was just thinking about how yesterday when I read you my draft of something I was writing, and you were moved by that and said how much you just loved working with me and HLG.
Yep.
And the impact was validating, like, oh, I'm not off because I was reading you something that I was a little nervous about. So, or that I thought was a rant as opposed to a message.
Yep. You're always safe with something you think is a rant from me. That's what I did not hear it that way. And I felt appreciated that you wanted to share it with me. Like that impact felt powerful to me and important. And I felt, as Melanie just wrote, acknowledged and validated.
Yeah.
So a lot of validation we're seeing, full heart forward. Janine, for sure. Time. The impact was time. I'm curious about that, Tammy. Um, I was given a 4-week sabbatical and expected to stay away to take care of myself. Oh, I do love that. Oh, hi, Brandolyn. Relieved and celebrated, truly seen, working across departmental and seeing a successful project. Confidence that my leader saw me as the person I wanted to become.
Yeah.
Feeling you made a difference. Yeah, that's some pretty powerful stuff.
Yes.
Mm. Right? That doesn't feel like fluff to me, to feel acknowledged and appreciated and validated and to have more confidence at work.
They all seem to be about like feeling seen and heard, huh?
Which I think goes back to in the model where we talked about belonging and trust. I don't think there's real belonging and real trust if we don't actually feel seen. And yet, I think there's in many, many places and many cultures and teams, there seems to be a lack of appreciating, or that's, people maybe think it's fluff or something like that. So, Sam, can we go to the next? We have a chat. What stops you from voicing appreciation? So if you know that you have felt this way when you've been really appreciated at work, what stops you sometimes from naming what you're seeing, from appreciating others?
Just simply offering it when you see
Mm.
it.
Yeah, just, oh yeah, here. Fear. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Tammy, if you're willing to say like fear of what, that would be
Yeah,
great to help
that
us.
would be. Oh, not getting credit for the work I do or others taking credit from our work. Yep. Yeah.
Yes.
If I name what other people are doing and they're not naming what I'm doing, I'm in a hurry and I don't remember. Yep, Sean, I think that's really, Jeannie, that's what Carol and I were saying this morning. Like, oh, but I got to do the next thing. I can't stop, pause, take a minute to acknowledge what went well there.
And I was thinking about how sometimes we think, well, some people have a value that you only give those appreciations when it's been extraordinary, not just for actually having gotten through a rough day.
Yeah.
So we don't need to name something that was already part of your job description or already expected of you.
Oh, great point. Sometimes it's like, well, you get a paycheck, that's enough appreciation. But no, it's not.
Right. Or this
Yeah,
is what I hired you to do. It's your job.
yeah, yeah. Worried about being seen as fake, Ethan. I think that is a common one we hear as well. Pausing. Tired of others brushing it off. People being uncomfortable with taking a compliment. Thank you for naming that, Brandolyn. We're going to talk about today about the 3 acceptable ways to respond when you receive appreciation, because that can be tricky. Got to get things done. Maybe not coming off as sincere, paying attention to the impact. Okay. So we know that we have, if all of us, people who spend their Friday mornings at a webinar, aren't appreciating, then probably many people aren't appreciating. And so how do we get kind of grounded in the possibility of what could happen if we appreciate and when we appreciate? So what gets in the way? Here are some things that some of us, what we think stops us is, I don't want to sound fake. It's not a big deal. Kind of to Carol's point. Yeah, we just did a thing that we're supposed to do. Or they already know they're great. They already know they did a good job on that project. And I think what we have seen of what really is going on is that sometimes we undervalue the impact of what real true appreciation can have. We can feel really vulnerable. I think going back to the maybe not getting credit or to someone brushing us off, or it is vulnerable to articulate generosity and kindness. It is a vulnerable act to say, I see you. It's intimate.
Yeah,
And
especially when you're naming the impact on you for them having the appreciation you're offered is also a little bit of you in there. And by stating the impact, that's an increased vulnerability for some.
I think that's so true. I think it also could be identifying a need you have. Like if someone did something and it hit you, then there's a need I have, which can be vulnerable as well. Or sometimes we don't have the language. We can get tangled up and I want to say a nice thing, but how do I say the thing? So I think all of that is really true. Anything else, Carol?
Not at the moment.
Okay, great. So we want to name that this isn't just because we are a really appreciative culture are at HLG and we really love to appreciate. We do. And we know that there is a business case for this. There is actual resources and statistics about the impact of appreciating at work. We know that it boosts engagement and performance and job satisfaction, culture, connection, and belonging. We've talked about that with our other elements of power of collaboration. It reduces burnout and turnover, specifically on teams, right? Carol and I, we were talking about kind of being Meg Wheatley's work, where she talks about being islands of sanity. That often, the company can be crazy, though, whatever, that really people's satisfaction at their job is most specifically correlated to their specific team, their manager, their team, that people can really survive a lot when they feel that they have an island of sanity. And so how do you make your team and the culture there really feel a place of appreciation and belonging and trust? So it encourages authenticity and care. And I think this goes back to we want to name, how do we authentically appreciate each other? It can't just be, sure, good, yay team. There has to be some real intentionality around this kind of appreciation.
Here's
Oh,
your
is that?
Good job. Here's your $10 Starbucks gift card.
Yes, yes, yes. That is, yep. And while some of us love a coffee, how do we say that this is specifically for you because I see you is very different than that. And sparks positivity and motivation. And that makes for a better work environment for all of us. Anything else, Carol, you would see kind of business cases that you've seen over the years that you think this
I
kind
think
of appreciation does?
we started this appreciation work about 25 years ago. The stats haven't changed on it being the #1 reason people leave their jobs.
Is not feeling appreciated.
Every time I go back and say, is the Gallup poll still saying that? Feeling underappreciated,
Yeah.
if for nothing else, has something to do with job retention and professional fulfillment, productivity.
Janine would love a coffee. So that deal, Janine, we'll take you out for a coffee next time we see you. Okay. Next. So we're going to take this back to the kind of 5 languages of appreciation. And you probably recognize these from the 5 love languages by Chapman. And White then took these and kind of made them for how they show up in the workplace. And, there are many, many types of appreciation within each of these. So the words of affirmation, verbal praise and encouragement, quality time with people. So someone really being present to you and seeing you and noticing your work or even having a conversation about it. Acts of service. How do you lighten the load for somebody? A token of appreciation can be a tangible gift. And then physical touch, which obviously we want to be really clear about at work. Maybe not the #1. So, but we were talking today about, Carol, what is your kind of, how do you like to be appreciated? What's a way that you would like to be appreciated?
I am very much around acts of service.
Yeah.
So I love it when my team is thriving and just doing really great work. I feel served when all is working well in acts of service to others. And I think we're talking about the words of affirmation. There's other, well, Courtney will get more into that.
Yeah.
There's something there about just that experience of being validated, not complimented, but seen in a validating way.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah. So I was reading this book about from a neurodiverse woman, and she was arguing that there's like 16 kinds of love languages, and she had even more in here of this. But one of them it really resonated with was being trusted. I really value, I feel most appreciated when I feel like I'm trusted to do my job, to do it well, to try things and maybe mess up on them or whatever. And so we decided that that was an affirmation. It's not a word, but I'm affirmed and encouraged to do a thing. But then my love language I like to joke with people that bullet points are my love language, because I will send emails with like 20 bullet points with hyperlinks. And I think we decided that's an act of service. I want you to have all of the tools and resources. If you're ever in a program I'm with, my follow-on email will have 20 bullet points of resources for you because I can't help myself.
Yeah, that's definitely acts of service.
Yeah.
I think the words of affirmation, being trusted, there are indicators you've received over time, like, no, I don't need to see that, or no, you got that, or no, we don't need to meet. You're you're
Yeah.
great at this.
Yeah.
You know more than I do. There are words of affirmation that come in that way that signal the
That's probably,
autonomy that you value and the trust that you value.
yeah, that's really, okay. That's really true. Okay. So next up, as you're looking through these and thinking about these, I'm going to launch a poll. Which is your desired language of appreciation at work? So how do you like to be appreciated? Give a couple minutes here. Sam, I'm just going to answer for you. Sam says autonomy. She likes to have autonomy. And also, these are very funny because these are also very aligned with our Enneagrams. For those of you who joined us for the Enneagram experience at all, being trusted to do essentially what I want is very 8. Sam's autonomy needs very 5. So that makes us smile
Knowing
too.
that people are fulfilled and everyone's connected.
Yeah, yes, that's very 9.
That is very 9.
Yep, yep. Oh, physical, you replace physical touch with frequent check-ins. Daily pop-ins to say good morning, quality. That is great, Sean. Just they're little pop-ins.
Yeah.
That's great. Thanks for that substitution is great. Okay, let everybody answer. We got a few people who maybe aren't.
And we do have to acknowledge there are still lots of cultures where
Yep.
greeting each other with hugs or professional cheek,
Yep.
cheek
Yeah. Yes.
is still completely acceptable. We just
Yeah.
want to be sensitive to how we open that up.
Okay, so here's what the poll says. So, words of affirmation seems to be,
Yeah.
kind of overwhelming. You know, people got to pick multiple. So, quality time and acts of service. Well, that there not a lot of physical tangible gifts. So this is pretty powerful overall because words of affirmation sounds like that is something that can be really easily remedied, I think, and added to our work.
Yeah. And it's interesting because maybe that's needed more right now in the current climate than it has. Maybe in other times of life, it was another one of these expressions that of appreciation that mattered. But it makes sense given the churn we've been experiencing that can we have some affirmation that I'm okay, I'm doing great, we're doing this together well.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, sorry, I didn't share the results.
So Janine says, having my contribution seen as unique and special as we achieve together. That is an Enneagram 4 speaking there.
Yeah. See, it's so fun. I love how we all show up.
Yeah.
And it's a great reminder that, all of us have really unique needs as far as that's concerned. And so the more we know our colleagues, the more we understand them, or the more we ask, how do you like to be appreciated? The more impact we can have with our appreciation too.
Yeah.
A fist bump needs, oh yeah, Marcus playing the sports. He likes a fist bump. Why not? All right, I'm good to know. Okay, moving on. So how do you most often give? We talked about how you receive it. How do you most often give? I think we often give the way that we like to receive. So how do you most often give appreciation at work?
Yeah, I was thinking about that because I think the primary one probably is words of affirmation, but for me,
Mm-hmm.
I think, but I don't really know. That's why I was kind of asking you, like, what do you experience? I'm not really sure which one I do most often or.
Yeah, I think words of affirmation, I think, well, you let me do a lot of processing and trying to figure out things. And that is an act of service for me as somebody who needs to process.
Yeah.
So I would say that's an act of service for sure. Sam, I partner with Sam a lot. Definitely acts of service. Sam is very frequent, like, oh, can I take that off your plate? How can I help and lighten your load? Which is,
I hear that a lot.
yeah.
We all say that. Can I take something off your plate?
Yeah. We also do a lot of, So words of affirmation, small fun gifts we see, acts of service, affirmation, quality time, Words of affirmation. Yeah. So it seems like we liked overall in the poll, we like to receive words of affirmation. And so many of us are giving words of affirmation back.
Yeah.
Most often verbal, a thoughtful, specific thank you note. Pete, this is one of my favorite things. I love to write a note. And yes, and I used to, when I was a school administrator, I did that a lot, and I would see them around the school too, posted on bulletin boards and things. There is something about someone handwriting a note. I think now too, it feels like old timey and everybody, right? That is really, yeah, special.
Yeah,
So
there's plenty of studies out there showing that a handwritten note, the brain engages differently
yeah.
for both the giver and the receiver. It's an elevated experience that we don't get when things are typed.
Yeah, Pete, I have not done that as much as I lately. And so thank you for the reminder. That's going to be a little goal of mine in August. Okay. So what is appreciation is not? It's not, hey, good job. Right? We want it to be specific. It's not just performance based. That's good. We want to recognize people's performance and what they have done. And what about the effort that went into it? Or how the people showed up as they were performing, or what the impact of the relationship was. It shouldn't be transactional, right? We're not going in, hey, I'm going to compliment Carol so that she will compliment me back.
Or that I'll get something.
Or I'll get something. Carol, you're a great boss. I really need XYZ. And it's not reserved for big wins only. I think Carol mentioned this earlier, that we know we're supposed to celebrate big wins. And it's the day-to-day that really sometimes feels like we could use a little more oomph, a little bit more of that list of the impact that it has on us.
Especially during stressful times, personally
Yes.
and professionally. It's not always like this thing about it not being the performance. You can acknowledge, I've noticed you've been struggling to perform at the level I know you're committed to performing. And I appreciate, it's okay. I appreciate where you're at, what's happening right now, and why that's challenging for you. Take some pressure off yourself for a few days.
Yeah.
We're okay.
Yeah.
It's that kind of appreciation too.
Yeah. Great. So it's most powerful when it's specific, sincere, and frequent. That's just the truth of appreciation.
Now, you don't have to save it for performance evaluations.
Yeah. In fact, that's hard because those are tied to so many other things.
Mm-hmm.
So, like getting a gift when it's not your birthday is really fun. It's more fun in some ways. And so how do we, so same thing with appreciation is that it's not just a formal sit down. To get a note out of the blue of like, hey, this really helped me, or you really impacted me, or this was really, I appreciate you. That's pretty powerful, I think. Okay. So a simple framework. How do we do this? Because you all bravely mentioned what gets in the way of appreciating earlier. So you want to recognize it, name it, and share it. So recognize what moved you, what somebody did, what moved you. Name what you appreciate, an action or a trait. Share it directly, intentionally, and timely. And this is important. Sometimes people, right, this is true of any sort of feedback, constructive or really affirming, is that sometimes we don't do it soon enough to when it happened. And then you have to go back and give tons of context. Oh, remember when, and then this happened and this happened. Whereas if you can do it closer to the moment and it feels fresh, that's pretty powerful. And then you want to name the impact it had on you. This is the sweet spot here. Is I saw this and this is what moved me about that. This is what impacted me. This is how I am resonating with what you did, because that's the thing. When you realize you made an impact on somebody, that feels really, I think, empowering.
And that, by the way, makes it more difficult to argue with what you've offered and easier to let in, because now you're sharing your own personal experience. And it's hard to say, oh, no, it was nothing. It's like, well, now you're telling me my experience wasn't nothing, and people don't want to do that. So that sharing the impact drives it home and makes it feel authentic and real, and also helps the person receiving understand you actually made a difference over there. Life became different or easier or whatever because of that thing that you're being appreciated for.
Yep.
That act or trait.
Yep. Yeah, you can't say to somebody, oh, no, I didn't impact you.
exactly.
Good try, but so
Changes the experience, by the way. And a lot of this is rooted in some of Gottman's work around relationships and just the importance of how it makes you feel or the impact it had on you changes the entire experience.
right. So an example here, I appreciated how you slowed down in today's meeting to include quieter voices. It made the conversation more thoughtful and inclusive. And I would even add something here like about the impact it had on me specifically. So this is how it has an impact on the room and on the team. And you could even say it made me realize I want to make sure I'm doing that for our colleagues. Or if you are a quieter, it made me feel like I could contribute. Okay. So how to appreciate. Here are our three of specific ways you can appreciate. So when you want to be present to the person, it shouldn't probably just be a drive-by in the hallway, right? You want to be present to the person. You want to be specific about what you saw or about what you're seeing and be authentic. And so this is where, I think a couple people mentioned you're afraid that people won't see you as being authentic. And so I think, again, if you're present and specific to it, it will feel more authentic. And again, as Carol said, and if you name the impact, it's harder to say it's not authentic.
You can even say, I want to offer this to you. And I have a little bit of a concern you're going to think I'm not being authentic. Or I've struggled with this out of that concern, but I want you to hear it.
Yep.
Name your own discomfort sometimes dissipates the discomfort.
Yep. And then 3 areas of focus. So what they have, what they do, and who they are. So you can kind of pick there where you really want to focus it. And then 3 responses. And this is where people always get real giggly and nervous when we say this, which is when you are getting appreciated, we say you have 3 different responses you can do. You can say thank you. You can say thank you, I agree. Or you can say thank you, tell me more. Anybody having a reaction to those 3 responses? What would it be like if the next time you got appreciated, you said one of these 3 things?
Especially the third one. Thanks, tell me more. I agree.
Anybody having a reaction to that?
Our team
says, ah!
Yeah, I know. Our team has a lot of fun with this one, actually, with each other.
Yeah. Thank you. That's nice to know. Nice to hear. Sure, John, you can have an addendum to the thank you. Cassandra, working remote, these appreciation reactions are lost.
Yeah.
Yeah,
you have to really carve out the time intentionally for sure.
Yeah, Tammy, sometimes we do get recognized for things we don't agree with. And so rather than saying, no, that's not true, which, right, if we go back to the cycle that could create, might negate this person's, feeling that you had an impact, might make it so that they are less likely to appreciate in the future. So how do we just say, oh, that's what that person experienced of me? Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Matthew, to share appreciation in group settings is really important. We were with a team last week, Jeanine and I, where they started out the day with appreciations and publicly, and what a tone it set for the day. Because they were specific and they were talking about the impact they had on each other. And it was created a whole day of a culture of appreciation and curiosity.
And that's a good one to take away from today. Start with that.
Start it. Start your meetings with it rather than ending when everyone just wants to leave.
Yep.
And I agree, feels kind of scary for me. I hear you, Marcus. Yep.
You can do it in a lighthearted way. Like I have to practice. So thanks. I agree. A little bit lighthearted, a little ease the discomfort, just as a practice.
Yeah, it is hard to say.
Humor in there. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So let's see what we can do. Appreciation demo. Carol, you want to give or receive? Which one do you want to do?
Now, see, I automatically said I want to give because let's move away from the discomfort of receiving. So to stretch myself, I'll receive.
Okay, great. Okay. So Carol, I appreciate so much, well, very many things, but specifically today, I want to appreciate that you are the first boss leader I've ever had who told me to be more myself rather than less myself. I'm going to get moved by it. You told me to lean into who I am even more than I have ever been able to be. And I am an 8, and so I am very much myself a lot. And there's always been part of me I thought should make smaller or less or more careful, I suppose, a way to ingratiate myself a little bit more. And you said, no, be more you and fully you. And the impact on me is I have never felt more safe or empowered or more wanting to do creative work for teams and people so that they feel at work like I get to feel at work. So
Oh,
thank you.
thank you. Thank you. That means a lot to me. It's good to hear, as John would say.
There you go. Good. So she said, thank you. Was it specific? Did I talk about the impact?
Yeah.
Are we trying to give real intention to each other? And Carol just had to say thank you.
And that, what I experienced over here, because I honestly did not know what she was going to share today, is just, it hit the core of what matters to me in terms of who we work with, both our employees. It's like I felt seen too and heard for what matters to me, knowing the impact.
Mm-hmm.
So the impact is just super important.
Mm-hmm.
You should put it in bold letters and underlined on the slide for
Impact.
next round. The impact, the sharing the impact.
Yeah, I do think that really is key because first of all, it helps me get in touch with why it mattered so much to me. So when I'm giving it,
Yeah.
it gives Carol, if the impact aligns with her values and what she's trying to do as a leader and as for the company, that's pretty powerful too. And she can't negate and be like, nah, don't do that. So
You really have that experience, and yeah.
Right.
Right.
Okay. So
Did you do it the other way around now? Are we modeling it the other way?
no, we're good.
Oh, yes, we are.
Okay. All right. Go ahead. I'm ready.
Gosh, again, there are so many things I appreciate you, but the way you engage with our content, design, and our team and our clients, all the way the through line, all the way through, is so profoundly dedicated and creative and passionate that I never question what you're doing. We make all kinds of mistakes, but your heart's in the right place. I have deep trust in you. And that allows me to let everything go and not worry about it. Like it may be different than I envisioned. It is going to turn out. Right. And then I just think you're hilariously funny and uber smart. And I learned so much from the impact. I've stretched and grown so much since you came to our team. And that makes me a better leader. And I deeply appreciate that about you.
Thank you. Thank you. So I think part of that.
Do I agree? Tell me more.
Oh no, thank you. I agree. I'm hilarious. I agree. I'm hilarious. The rest, I don't know. Maya Angelou said you have to think that you're the funniest person you know because you spend the most time with yourself. So I've always taken that to heart. I think what's powerful about both of those things too is that I know what Carol values, and so I'm able to appreciate things that I know she values. And she knows I've said that being trusted is a value of mine, and she named that specifically. So again, as we're talking about, like even saying the appreciation feels really good and empowering because I know that it resonates with her, let alone receiving it, which of course feels powerful. Okay. And I think it's interesting we haven't mentioned here specifically the power dynamic because we don't care that much, but the power dynamic of Carol is my boss and she's the owner of this company. And so I think that that's interesting to think about as we go forward. I think maybe appreciating our superiors or your manager or skip level even could be feel that's where could it be authentic or will people be questioning that? And how do you, I don't know, Carol, does it feel less powerful to get appreciation from someone who works for you?
No, I don't think for me personally, just because of how I lead and how I'm oriented, it doesn't make any difference. I think if anything, I like being appreciated maybe from people who have been unhappy with me for some reason or another. We've gotten on the other side of it. And that's
Yes.
like, I appreciated the way you engaged with that
Yes.
conflict, or you worked
Yes.
with me to get through it,
Yes.
regardless of position.
Yes.
So,
Well, yeah, like we talked about productive breakdowns last month. And what a valuable thing to be able to get to the other side of something and say, "Hey, I appreciated how you showed up," or that you didn't show up, we had a hard time at the beginning and that we figured our way through. So voicing what's good at the end of a breakdown is also incredibly powerful, I think. But I just want to name that sometimes power dynamics adds to another layer of fear of not why you're not saying things.
right.
And yeah, Melanie, I think sincerity and authenticity can go a lot of places. We know when someone's being authentic with us, I think.
Yeah. And again, it's okay to name the concern before you offer it. I mean, I learned that years ago, just like, I'm kind of nervous right now, but I really want to have this conversation with you. Or I notice I'm a little bit hesitant because I'm concerned it's going to be misinterpreted in this way, but I want to offer you an appreciation that's
Yep.
really true for me.
Yep.
Or I'm new at this. I'm developing myself as a leader. I recognize
Yes.
I'm not as good as giving as I'd like to be. So I might sound a little awkward, but I'm going for it because it matters.
Yes. So much of our work, we just keep telling people to tell on themselves. Tell on yourself and like what a gift you give to people, right? Oh, I'm having a stress-based reaction. Oh, I'm trying a new thing. So I'm going to try it with you. What a gift to people. As Rachel, one of our colleagues, says, she's learning in public. You're learning in public, and to share that with people is really powerful and a gift.
Robin has a good call
She
out.
really does. And I was going to say, Robin, I think this again goes back to the impact. So rather than just, oh, that was great, you did a great job speaking, right? Here's what your speech or here's what your presentation, the impact it had on me. So now it's just not like, oh, that was great or whatever. If we get back to and why and how I'm going to use this moving forward and why it resonated with me, then again, I think it takes out some of the other stories we could write about why that person might be saying something because you're telling them the whole story.
Yeah. But again, like we've been discussing a lot for the whole last few, well, 25 years, but more intense last few years about the being sensitive to being culturally sensitive, environmentally sensitive. Like as we're about to speak, who are we speaking to? What conversation are we in? I think that makes a big difference too, that how that person may be able to let in or not let in
Yep.
what I want to say is
Yep.
all worth attention.
Yep.
But the impact piece, at the risk of being repetitive, it does change the experience because it becomes about what happened with you as a result of what they contributed.
Yep. Yep. Well, we're making this clear. This is helping me design, everybody. In the future, if you're in one of our sessions, you're going to hear about impact a lot. Okay, so here's a little practice prompt. Think about somebody with whom you work. What do you appreciate about them? Maybe what's their likely appreciation language based on kind of your working or understanding relationship with them? And how might you voice it this week?
And if you want to take on the super challenge, because you're already very good at appreciations, take on somebody you struggle with.
Yes.
Somebody that's been challenging for you, and find the good in that person and acknowledge it.
Yep. Yep. I'll give you back in the day when I was a teacher, I taught a history course for kids who really struggled. And so it was mostly a bunch of 17-year-old boys. And every school year, I would spend the first 2 weeks of school really trying to understand one awesome thing to appreciate about each of those kids. And then I would call their parents and tell them that cool thing about their kid. And the parents frequently, that was the first phone call they'd gotten from the school. That was, exciting. And so and the kids would come back like, my mom said you called and said something. And I was not lying. I made sure that I was always saying something true about them. There were many other truths that we were also going to work on. But there was something so impactful about finding something. And it was such a good exercise for me because once I have one thing I can love about somebody, I can love the somebody.
Yeah.
And so it was more an exercise for me than anything, but it had a really big impact on my relationship with those kids and those parents. So this, it can also be true at the workplace.
Yeah. Super important.
So anybody in the chat, anybody want to say your response to one of these questions? Anybody thinking of anybody? Oh, look, Alan's appreciating me in the chat. Thank you, Alan. Okay, well, that's one of our challenges to you for the week. So here's your homework. Identify 3 colleagues, consider their appreciation language, express meaningful appreciation to each of them this month, and reflect on the impact. So name the impact for them, and then reflect on the impact that this exercise has on them. Kira, I was good until you threw down the challenge. That's right. We're all good until we have to think of the challenge.
You can decline the challenge for this week. Just
You can.
whatever's
Baby
needed.
steps. Yeah, maybe start with somebody who's really easy to appreciate and then go from there. Yeah. Okay. Thanks, Tammy. All right. So just a reminder, our series, and you could go back to our old recordings or to the emails Sam has sent with all the resources that you get grounded in your team compelling why. You work to build trust, to build inclusivity, to navigate productive breakdowns, because the other side of that breakdown is kind of untapped potential and what could be. And then you voice what's good throughout the whole thing, not just at the end of this, but throughout all of it. And Sam's double checking to make sure everybody's on the email list. So we're good there. Okay. So if you'll just take one word to capture your learning from the day as we close out.
It was fun being a guest.
Yeah, Carol, you'll get invited back. Yeah. Compassion, engaging, pause. Yep. Oh, Sean, always hard to pause.
Yep.
Energizing, smart. All right. Well, everybody, you have your task for the month. Get out there and start appreciating.
Yeah, great to be with all of you today.
Thanks for coming.
Happy August.
Yes. My teacher friends call it the Sunday, that August is a Sunday. The whole month.
Nice long Sunday, huh?
Bye, everybody.
Bye-bye. Good to see you, Rashad. Well, not see you, but
yeah, I know.
List over there.